All right, what's up now? Okay, I got it now. Let me put my guest in. All right, there you go, Red. True spoken out and add to stream. All right, Red, you up here now, right?
Yeah.
All right, I can hear you. And I see my
Yeah.
homeboy right there, Marcus from my neighbor. Marcus, I'm gonna get to you in a minute. All right, Red, now we good. All right, just
All
yo.
right.
All right, now, I'm like a functioning illiterate when it comes to this stuff, man. I got an assistant that helped me with everything,
Yeah.
So, as y'all know, this Bry-dee, host of Urban Realness. I got esteemed guests on here tonight, Red, man. We got a lot in common, man. And I'm just gonna start off first off with you, Red. I just want to ask you, what made you get into this podcast and what made you get into what you into first off, man, and tell everybody what your show is and everything else.
What made me get into it, man, was just like I see at first when I came on, I was talking about, a lot of players, little player stuff and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Dealing with the women and stuff like that. I was on my ism tip when I first came, but I'm originally from, I'm from the streets. I grew up in the West Adams, mid city district of LA.
Okay.
And when I first came to YouTube, I didn't really want to talk about nothing street because I didn't been through that and seen through all that. So I didn't want to glorify that. So I was like, you
Right.
know what, I'm gonna talk about getting brothers on point with their women. You know what I mean? Getting a better understanding with that. So I came on talking about that. But as I looked at what was going on in my community with us as Black peoples first and foremost. Then I looked what was going on with the Latinos and Hispanics. I said, I got to talk about this. There's
Right.
no way I can have a platform and just ignore these things that's going on with our people. So
True.
that's what motivated me to create this platform, man, to really to be the voice of the people. Because there's people it's a lot of people that know about it but won't speak on it.
True. That's true, man. That's true. That's true. It's absolutely true. And
Yeah.
I just feel like that the more dialogue we have, and not necessarily chuck spears at one another, but the more dialogue we have, the more it'll open up a bridge to gap all the disparities and all the separations,
Yeah.
because I personally feel that if a brother stay on top of certain individuals' heads, then they people gonna be like, quit being so complicit.
Hmm.
Because if there's something wrong with the situation, man, like us as brothers, like I don't never want to chuck no verbal spears against a brother on social media. I
Yeah.
think we have to work all our problems out behind the scenes.
Feel you on that.
But sometimes you have to, what I call Stevens. Stevens is that character Samuel Jackson from Django.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Stevens.
Yeah, we do.
We don't be on code with one another. And sometimes you got to pull the Steven up, man, and you got to tell the Steven, like, you a Steven, bruh.
Yeah.
And we got to ostracize the Stevens because there's a lot of Stevens on social media too. I'm not shooting shots at nobody. I'm just speaking in general.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
if I need to put a handle on the axe, I will put a handle on the axe, but I put that handle on that axe in private first. And if that doesn't seem to, rectify the situation, because I'm not always right. And the only time I'm the smartest man in the room is when I'm in the room by myself, you know. Yet when I'm on code with brothers like you, because you younger than me, then I can't be wrong if I got a brother, like-minded brother who's younger than me,
Yeah.
who's on code too. So I said that to say this, without dragging it all out, that there's a lot of racist comments being directed at us on social media.
Yeah. A lot of it.
And a lot of brothers act like they're scared to pull the dudes up.
Yep. I got sick of that. I got tired of that, man, because it's like there's a lot of us out here with these platforms and we're not speaking up, man. And first and foremost, LA, we enter, gang culture is, that's part of what what we go through, that's part of day-to-day life, especially if we grow up in certain areas in Los Angeles. But I said, hold on, but we Black though. We can't
Right.
like, there's no getting around that. So how is it that we're talking about gang banging and what we went through in the hood, but we're not addressing these issues that's going on with our people, especially with these so-called people that we grew up with? So for me, it was like a big slap in the face to see people using our culture to make money, to elevate their people, but slapping us in the face at the same time, telling us, "Oh, this stuff is old." Check this out, OG. I did a stream like 3 weeks ago, and I brought up the racial issues. And I had some Mexican callers tell me, "Oh, Red, you're keeping the hate going on. You're talking about old stuff." I'm like, "No, it's not. Have you checked the hate crime stats? How am
Right.
I creating division by talking about stuff that's really affecting my people?" What's your thoughts on that?
You know, I, I feel the same way you feel, that it's not divisive if you're saying what's going on in our communities, but in pockets of the communities that we move into, when it's melanated people against melanated people for no sound concrete reasoning, it doesn't make sense. So it can't possibly be divisiveness. It's just bringing attention to, hey man, we talking about it. We need y'all to address it too. We need to come to the table and rectify this. We need to, is if you in a collective, then you need to weed out the badness of the collective, or pull the collective part of your collective up and check them and say, man, this has to come to an end. You know, so I'm agreeing wholeheartedly with you on that. You know, it's always we racist or we wrong when we bring up something, but we the same people, man, that went to that border. We the same people that pick up every fight. We the same people that, when I brought attention the other night, man, it's been 5 Hispanic dudes killed in Northern California in Stockton. They think it's a serial killer. I'm bringing attention to Southern California, like, hey, man, if your people going up there, tell them watch themselves. They killing Hispanics from 22 to 34. It's a serial killer.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So we bringing attention to that. I'm bringing attention to the displacement of the children that were snatched at the border, that scattered all over the United States. Who God knows who homes they in right now.
Right.
So why be mad at me if I'm bringing attention to the, not just necessarily negativity, but the negativity that needs to be addressed? Don't be angry at me then when I attack the negativity that's on the street level.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
just trying to wear this all the way up. I mean, we got our own issues. Like, I want to ask you this: what do you think about Black Lives Matter?
Well,
If you have an opinion on it, you could
the idea. Now, this is what I say about Black Lives Matter. The idea that Black Lives Matter makes sense because apparently they don't. Our lives are. It's not valued the way that the average white American life is valued. But when you think about the organization, the group, I can't get down with the group. I just say like Black Lives Matter as in Black Lives Matter. We should be valued because we are humans. But as far as that whole movement, that has nothing to do with our agenda. So I really can't get down with the movement per se. But as far as the meaning of it, yes, I'm all about Black Lives Matter all day. But the thing about it is we got to start doing better as people because like with the check-in thing, I wanted to address that too. Like with the check-in thing, like I understand that makes a lot of sense when you moving around in certain areas, but I wanted us to be more territorial when it comes to outsiders, not just when it comes to ourselves. Like, for instance, we tell people they got to check in. They ain't from our hood, people that look like us. But
right,
we allow foreigners to set up shop and get rich off of our community selling goods and products to our people. They ain't got to pay no taxes. They ain't got to check in. They make tons of money in our community and send it back to their country. And we're allowing them to do that. And I just feel like for LA, it looks like our population is just on a decline every year, and shit ain't getting no better, man. It's getting worse because, like you said, we got too many Stevens.
right. Now, let's see. This is where my outlook is on check-in. If, let's just say, a guy comes from Hawaii and he's a popular rapper, he's making noise, and he says to me, I want to go over here, man. I heard this place is really this, that, or another, right? I want to visit this. Okay. And then I say to him, like, well, dude, you shouldn't go over there with this on, that on. You should go rent you a little low-key car, take off all that jewelry, and go. But if you're going to go over there in this car or whatever car, that you have another car in this area, or the studio provided you with a GT Continental, and you have $100,000 on your neck, chances are, bro, you're going to get got, because that's the lower element of the criminal. Now,
Yeah.
if you say, well, hey, man, I want to go to this club where a lot of the urbanites be, then I would say, okay, man, well, I got 4 young homeboys of mine that'll go with you. You're not paying them, but do what young dudes do. Have fun at the club, whatever. But when these other predators see you, they'll say, okay, you're with them.
Right.
Not 39 other people you have to go check in with, but it's just an idea of like, if I came to your town, I said, where's the best place to go, man? You would tell me what's the best place to go to. So I just checked with you. I didn't check in with you and have to pay you, have to do a record deal with you, a hook, or anything of that nature. I checked in with you to know what's cool to go to and what's not. Because in every urban city, even in every small town, there are places that they say, don't go there, but go here. That's what you mean to me, man.
Yeah, and another thing is like with all this it's like we're the most imitated but the most disrespected. I've been doing a lot of things, content on hip hop because a
Right.
lot of people are trying to attach themselves. Like the one cat for one, Swifty Blue. He said, I think I was gonna do something. I'm gonna do something on it this week. He said he went signed to a black label because of his politics, right? But I'm thinking like, why are you rapping then? If your politics say that you can't do business with a black man, why are you allowed to do music that is black culture? So that whole mentality, ideology is just it's something so far left field, man. And it's like I gotta address it, man. I've been thinking like, so okay, if your politics are against black people, why would you do black music for a living then? Why wouldn't you just link up with the people that you're aligned with and do country music? If that's your alliance, I mean, let's make this make sense.
You know, and this is what I say on that. A dude told me in the comment that you're a convict. You're supposed to be a OG. So I hit him back with, I'm not a convict. I'm a dude that lives on the beach. I'm a dude that works 16-hour days. I'm a dude that has two, not flossing or bragging, as they would say, but I'm just pointing out to him. I'm a dude that has two foreign cars. I'm a dude who likes to dress plain Jane, but neatly. I'm a guy that likes jazz clubs. I'm not confined to some 5x9 cell. I'm not a convict, dude. I don't know
Right.
what you're talking about. I'm a street journalist for one, but for two, I'm so far removed from prison political structures in society, in the free world, where it holds no relevancy. So to say that you have prison politics, that guy who's only been in the county jail a couple of months, how can you possibly even assign that title to yourself of the politics of prison?
You know what? OG? But you know what I said? He just following protocol from his OGs. And I said this. I said, they was, oh, Swifty ain't never been to prison. I said, well, you know what? Swifty ain't got to go to prison. He know how his older homeboys think. So he just following Southside protocol. Now, for him to say he's institutionalized personally is impossible because you never served time in the penitentiary. He just understands the mentality because he know how his homies think, his OGs think. Like I said in my one video when I did videos about the Canoga Park. Now I know people that lived out there that was attacked for no reason, just for being black. So I did a live stream on it, and I was talking about how it has nothing to do with you serving in a hood, you trying to start a gang in a hood. These people they were just attacking black civilians just for the sake of attacking black people and write NK on the wall. Now I addressed this in one of my live streams. A Southsider called in and tried to, oh man, well, you don't know. Sometimes things be happening and it be behind something. I said, no, I'm not telling you about what I heard. I know people personally that are squares that was attacked in the Canoga Park, Alabama area just for getting gas, just for walking in that neighborhood. He tried to tell me that I'm exaggerating, and a lot of times this stuff be over things that happen. I said, see, that's the problem right there. You're denying. You're telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about, as if I'm just saying something out of the clear sky. Like, and that's what pisses me off, OG, when they say we're talking about something old or we're making it seem like this is, nah, man. I'm not talking about something that happened in 07. I'm talking about something that happened in 2020, 2021, 2019. These are not old incidents, man. And when you bring it up, they try to make it seem like you're just making this shit up. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is I addressed it and they told me I was living in the past.
They said the same thing to me.
I addressed it, and then like I'm reading something that a brother named Brian Whittam said, about, well, I'm gonna say it because it's a comment. The dude Brickbank said, well, that's just our politics or what have not, right? That's not our politics, man. That's not how it goes. That's not real life, man. That is not a way of life in California. That is a way of life in certain pockets of California that need to be eradicated.
Yeah.
That is not the normalcy. There's nothing normal about that, man. There's nothing normal about taking the dictations of a prison and rolling it over into society. There's nothing normal about that. That's abnormal. That's
Yeah.
dysfunctional. So, I agree with you, Brian Woodham. You know what I'm saying? What's up, babyface Loxa? What's up? But my thing on my assessment of what you said is that's why I initially went on the attack, because it was something that was said online that that a certain individual who's the same complexion melanated man, if he had put up a video, they would make him take it down. That's the reason I jumped into this whole fray of like, you don't dictate nothing to us. No one runs California. No one runs the streets of California. You have pockets of California that have individuals, if you go on that lower level, that they have control of it to a certain degree. They don't own a brick on the streets, yet they control the environment, because that's the environment these cats grew up in, as well as the environment I'm formerly of. But it's not like these dudes run this or run that in prison, and they run this and run that on the streets. That's ludicrous. Because if that was the case, then brothers would be locked in their cells, and when they come out, their parents would be sending, or their girlfriends or whatever, be sending money to other people.
Yeah. Blacks wouldn't have no TVs. You wouldn't have no section to do nothing. They'd just be running everything. And you know what's crazy about this? People be on the internet like, you guys can't say that you want peace, but you're trying to tell everybody like you just running shit, and that's just not the case, man. It's like my thing is this: we can never move forward until they acknowledge the wrongdoing on their side. Now, until they acknowledge the anti-black racism within their culture, we can never move forward with them. And another thing I said is this: as blacks in Southern California, now I've been all over California. I know Northers, Southsiders. I said we can never fully trust somebody that will align themselves with somebody who's been our enemies historically. I just got to say it. It's like, I can't sugarcoat that. Like, when you see this is my thing, OG. How could you go to county jail or prison and then you run with the people that hate us? That's your politics. But when you come on the streets and you want to do hip hop, it's all about black and brown when you want to do hip hop. You guys are playing both sides of the field. It's not going to work. You can't run with our enemies in prison or county or whatever and then come out and say it's black and brown when you want to get into hip hop. I just, nah, man, we got to speak out on that, bro. We can't allow that.
And it's a lot of things in hip hop. See, my thing is like I said, man, I'll say these words, when you start referring to brothers as a mayate, which the rest of the nation probably doesn't even know what that is. That's the lowest form of disrespect applied to a black. When you start calling us tintos and changos, and which is monkey and stuff like that, then you have to address those things. When you say it every day in your normal conversation, you say, okay, I say I'm not racist, man, but I call a person, I'll say their back is wet, because I don't like utilizing that kind of language. Or say that, they're the person that rides on burros or something of that nature. Just derogatory. I don't use the derogatory terms, man. I don't even use the N word. Okay, so I don't think it's cool if I hear you saying it, and because I don't say it, I'm saying like, hold up, homie, you ain't got to call him that. Dudes used to get mad at me when I used to tell homies, you ain't got to say that.
Yeah.
And what, you Captain Saver? No, I'm not Captain Save nothing, homie. It's just that you ain't got to say that around me. And so if they don't stand up and say that, then they're complicit. So yeah, you can't trust an individual like that. How can you be cool with me? Like a dude put in one of my comments, shout out to you from the 818. Everybody in the 818 is cool except for Canoga Park. So I said, well, damn, why can't the rest of the 818 step up to Canoga Park and say, hey, man, y'all just like brothers so much. Why? See, the question is, I think if you start asking them dudes, why do you have a distaste or dislike or a hatred towards me? What is the reasoning? Have you ever had a person like me engage in a conversation with you? Have you ever had a person like me work side by side with you, play sports with you, try to make a beat with you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question, so it's like, man, it's so much going on. It's like it on different levels that sometimes I just say, man, is it all going to remain the same and change, or is it all going to change and remain the same?
Yeah. And I wanted to address this too, like American Cholo, right? Like, he was in my comment section when I did a live stream, and I mentioned him, and he was saying, oh, I never said anything about reparations. I didn't say it. It was Sonny. He was trying to throw everything off on Sonny. But I'm like, you can't throw everything off on Sonny, because when they spoke on reparations, he said, oh, that's like if we said my great-great-grandmother. Yeah, you wasn't the one that said it, but you allowed it on your show. And the way that you guys spoke on it, we know that you guys all agreed on it. So you can't backpedal now. My thing is this. That conversation about reparations, it said a lot, because a lot of people really feel that way. He's trying to distance himself from the conversation and say, "Oh, it was just Sonny. I'm not racist. I never said it. I never said that. I don't care about reparations." The thing about it is, he's backpedaling now. We all heard what you said about reparations, what your friend said. So the whole conversation was like, I never knew he felt like that, because I never really heard all of the clips. But when I heard the reparation conversation, I said, okay, it's over for this guy now. You know what I mean? It's like, you're just trying to do damage control now.
Well, see, what brought my distaste towards dude really towards that individual is when I saw a segment of his show pertaining to Lift Every Voice and Sing. He brought it up.
Oh, and then, yeah. And you know what? I saw that from your channel. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and the guy that was sitting right there went like this. To me, that's the indicator of break their necks or twist them or lynch them or hang them.
Yeah, okay. That's what that is.
So yeah, I saw that about Tariq and AC, bro. But I'll segue. I'll get to that in a minute. So my thing was, you sat up there, and another guy said, well, I won't be going to no national anthem. I won't be taking my kids there. But what it is the fact. So when I addressed the national anthem that we have, what was redacted, what was taken out of the national anthem was to stop any one of us from going to the British Army and said, we'll still track you down from the grave and make you enslaved. So when he was complicit in that turned me away from him. When he utilized the word ghetto coons, a lot of people don't know where coon came from. Coon hunting is when they chased a raccoon up a tree with the dogs and then they shot it down. So when they had runaway slaves, they chased them up a tree too with a dog and shot it down. So if there was some slaves missing tonight, they said, we finna go coon hunting. From John Joe plantation, it was 2 Negroes that escaped. So we finna go coon hunting. So they utilized that title. So coon is a disrespectful racist term towards in this country, our color. So with him, it was like, with that dude, I don't have anything to say to him. He tried to get me to come on this show to sit down and talk to him, and I'll say it right here. Never. Because I sit down with a person who I will run intellectual circles around, historical circles around, and try to believe that he's going to atone for what he's doing because he has a bigger agenda now. And he's shot his own self in the foot with the rhetoric that comes out of his mouth. And I'm here to address that, and I'm here to put him on notice that, hey, you not going, hey, Pat Walker, how you doing there? I see you. You not going to sit up here and say disparaging remarks about my culture and think that you can sit down with me and I'm going to validate you now and say, hey, buddy, I accept your apologies. You can never be apologetic for what comes out of your mouth. See, because words aren't value neutral with me, man. That's why I don't use the N-word, because I don't find it as a term of affection or endearment to another brother. I just don't. And when brothers call me and I say, hey, bro, I don't like that word. Don't call me that. Knock you using it. I don't knock who uses it. That's your business. Just don't apply it to me. So saying, how can you align yourself with someone that's been a historical enemy of people of color, even though we live in a fairly decent society now, which is cool, but you aligning yourself and you spewing that hate by being complicit by what came out of his mouth it's obvious.
Yeah. And we don't talk like that about them. Like one thing about it, like we don't have, like, our parents didn't raise us to have derogatory terms towards Mexicans. When we got into it, we would just say, oh, we got into it with the Mexicans or the essays or the Southsiders. We didn't have no names that were how they call us Mayate. See, that comes from their culture. And like Tariq Nasheed said something that was true. He was like, now shout out, I listened to some of the little, Mexican podcasters. They was trying to say, well, Tariq Nasheed said we got to go back to Mexico to correct some of the racism. What he was saying is a lot of that anti-Black racism stems from Mexico, and they brought it over here. And if you guys don't want to acknowledge that, it's just like you're not being honest. A lot of people don't know. Mexico barely added their Black population to the census in 2015.
Yeah.
So what does that say? That tells you how they feel about our people, but they always try to hide this like we're just making this stuff up about how they really feel about us. Y'all just added, and Black people done a lot. Gaspar Yanga, West African, help liberate Mexicans to free them from Spain.
Yeah.
Victor Guerrero, the second president, Black people have done a lot for Mexico, but they try to erase that history, though.
Yeah.
You know, and that's crazy.
But see, that comes with the indoctrination, man, from Europeans or what have not. And I get that. But see, the thing that really irks me is I grew up next door to you. I share a neighborhood with you.
Mm-hmm.
I sat over your house. You came over to my house.
Yep.
You Spanish. Anybody that's from California or from the Southwest period knows Spanish words.
Yeah.
It's a second nature for us. So it's not that as if we're knocking them or as if it's the spirit. I mean, like, okay, even on the gang culture, look what dudes call themselves lokes. Certain factions of the gang word call themselves lokes, which derives from loco, which derives from a Mexican word of crazy. But loke, what's up, loke? How you doing, loke? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we've all borrowed from each other, yet it's like you said, how can you hate me, but my culturally introduced music platform is what you getting paid off of.
It's what you're getting paid off of. But
You
your
know,
alliance is with people who hate us. That's a twisted ideology, bro.
yeah. So and so it's been a little. We gonna revisit them. I wanna ask you, what do you feel about this? Okay, like I'm from the city of Compton, and what do you think about police brutality and infiltration of gangs in the departments? Like they had executioners in Compton, and they were
Oh,
predicated on shooting a brother or shooting a Mexican for that matter, shooting an individual in the streets, and the only people in Compton are Mexicans and blacks and Mexicans.
yeah.
What do you think about the brutality that's being done and the infiltration of people like the execution? Vikings went out with the old news, but the latest ones were the execution. Do you have any input on that?
I just really kind of tapped into that. I always knew that it was gangs within the police force, just based on what was going on. But I'm just now really finding out what it really is, man. And I'm gonna do some content on it, man. But I had to really, educate myself on what was
Right.
really going on, because I've been out of the loop as far as like with that. I ain't caught no case in over like 10.
And I
What the
applaud.
first time? I think when the last time I got off paper? This was '08. So ever
Right.
since then, I've been podcast. I started my podcast really like in 17.
Uh-huh.
But before that, I started working regular jobs, and then I created my little
Right.
podcast.
Right.
I've been kind of like out of the way as far as that concerned. You know what I mean? But
Right.
yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen that, man. And a lot of people think we exaggerating about what be going on with law enforcement in California. We got one of the most corrupt systems in the country, man. And a lot of this shit gets swept underneath the rug, man. And it really goes on.
Yeah.
I just got to, like, as far as the executioners and that, yeah, that's like a real what that kind of remind me of? Kind of like in the 60s when they brought all those racist cops from the South to come police black neighborhoods in LA. You know what I mean? Let's get
Right.
some racist cops from Alabama, Mississippi, from the backwoods and put them on the LAPD. That's what they're doing now. It's just like seeing like it's the modern version of it.
Precisely. Because it's corruption at the highest level right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I ask myself, how does it affect, our communities? Because when you look at it, it's old saying that say feces roll downhill. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so do you have any input on what you think how our systems are corrupted? Other than, like, we know the sheriff's department is corrupted. I'll say it, it's corrupted. I mean, you've had the sheriff department indicted in there in federal prison. You know, and you have ongoing investigations right now. From not only the brutality, but from things that are going on within the department. Yet, like, I know you transplant yourself somewhere else, but you're always in the city to stay in
Yeah.
tune, your ear to the ground.
Right.
So you got it because you're not even X amount of hours away. To be truthful, I know.
Right. Right.
So I know you keep your ear to the ground. But how do you feel about how do you feel about the corruption in our government, man, in the state of California, in the Southern California?
Man, I just feel like it was a plan to just get us up out of here. Like it ain't no
Yeah.
it ain't no coincidence that the black population, the pop, it just declined drastically. Right. And the more our numbers dwindle in Southern California, the more you're going to see hate crimes against us.
Yeah.
It's just an unfortunate situation, and we got to speak on it, because you got the people that are doing it are pretending like it's not going on. There's no real
Accountability.
unity amongst
Yeah.
ourselves, which is crazy considering everything that's against us right now. So we're dealing with corruption from the government, and we're dealing with dysfunction with the brothers and sisters in our own community, and being at odds like that with a population that's so low, and you go to prison, you got all these. I mean, just say it. You got all these Southsiders in the woods against you, and our population is low, and we can barely come together on one accord. It's only gonna get worse in California, Southern California, for a black man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, if we don't get it together, like as far as how we view each other, we right now we ain't got no business killing each other. Not period. Especially but especially in Los Angeles County.
Mm-hmm.
We're under 10% of the population. Why are we still gangbanging and killing one another when we got the police, the Mexicans, the Aryans? Everybody's against us, and we're against ourselves. That's what made me just say, man, I got to do something different, man. I just, the way I look at life now at 40, totally different how I seen life at 30, 20, and 25. So it's like, it's bad. It's bad for us in Cali, man. You know, it's like, well, I think we was like 20% of the population in like the early 80s, late 70s, something like that. We was about like 20% of the pop, and now we like 8 or 9% of Los Angeles, and it's going to continue to get lower.
It was 9% of Los Angeles County, and yeah, that's true. And we make up 42% of the hate crimes.
Yeah, see, that'll tell you something.
Speaking, see, people tell me always, you know, they try to say, well, bring the black and white. Where are you getting their statistics from? Okay, well, I'll give you people out there a tip. Let Google be your best friend. And then Google will give you cross references, and then you can cross reference. It's like my grandparents used to say, everybody ain't lying.
Right.
So when you go statistically speaking, you see the hate crimes, you see the increase of hatred towards people just simply because of their race. Like, I've yet to see, you know, and I keep referencing this, Ramona Gardens. They're the biggest fools in the world. They firebombed a few homes on film, knowing that there were cameras in their projects. But I've yet to see a documented case of a person that looks like me that firebombed a home of an opposite race just simply because of the color of their skin, of an innocent woman and children in homes. So yes, I have a problem with that. Yet people constantly tell me, well, you're living in the past. Well, that guy just got sentenced last year. So how am I living in the past? How about earlier where he told me in January of this year, I believe, where it was 4, you know, young African Americans standing at a store, and 4 guys jumped out of the car that were, you know, basically gang members from Southern California gangs, and they gunned them down and shot an innocent dude to death who didn't gangbang, simply because they were standing right there. You know, so when I tell these stories, people say, well, why don't you go to the areas where it's NK on the wall? I say, who do I look like, Boo Boo the Fool? I'm going to jump out, me, who's always Compton head to toe everywhere I go. I'm going to jump out as a black man in that area and start taking pictures of the walls in a gang neighborhood, and to prove to you, no, you go. You're that complexion. Since you want to question me, you know, and I do agree, gang banging is killing us. You know, we need OGs to step up and have these conversations. That's why we have these conversations. See, because brother, my complexion is not my enemy. A brother, another complexion is not my enemy. What's my enemy is the ideology that's being perpetrated in our communities against people just simply because they look like me. The reason people say, well, why are you on this? Why are you on this? Why are you on this? Okay. Once upon a time, man, it was a cat in Texas that was wop, 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 wop. F this, F that, F this. So I took it upon myself to fly to Texas to show brothers from California that is no beef with the Texas dudes. Because I felt like this. If you took a young dude from Texas, let's just hypothetically speaking, who was a class valedictorian, and he had on the Texas Longhorn jersey, and he went on Crenshaw one night, and a young kid from that area saw him and said, where you from? Man, I ain't from nowhere, I'm from Texas. And he decided to do what young gang members do and just kill this kid just on the strength that he was from Texas, because someone in Texas was saying blacks can't, you know, brothers can't come from California, can't come to Texas, and this, that, and another. So I went to Texas to diffuse that. So the analogy I'm making is I have these conversations pertaining to black and brown to try to bring it to a table where we could like, hey, man, this has to come to an end, because we're not buckling down to you. But it's not us, is that we're, you know, I'm of the streets, not in the streets any longer, but it's not us that are from the streets that are receiving the brunt of the violence. It's people that are just simply our complexions.
Yeah.
Billions. This is what I'm doing. So if your son or your cousin come from a southern state or any state for that matter and go visit auntie for the summer in Los Angeles County, it's my job to say, don't go over here, man.
Yeah.
Here at 10 o'clock at night. Don't go in this area because it's a nice restaurant over there that you read a review of. It may be a nice restaurant, but what people don't understand about Los Angeles County is Melrose is 5 minutes on the freeway from South Central LA.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Okay. Compton is 15 minutes on the freeway from the marina. So you may want to go here, and it's not that people are targeting out of towners or things of that nature, because they robbing people on Melrose.
Right.
But you don't want to be in these pockets that are racial,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's just what that is, you know. So it's like I'm not just on their heads for the sake of being on their heads. I'm on their heads for the sake of our community at large that come from other states that are in our.
Hey, and you know what I want to say, OG? It was a college football player from Florida State who was visiting California, and he was in the Canoga Park, Alabama. He got shot up by the Canoga Parks just going to the store. He couldn't even play ball after that because it messed up some of his joints. He was
Yeah,
he was visiting from Florida, regular civilian college kid. He got shot up just being in the Canoga Park area. So no, we're not making this stuff up.
no,
The one little cat that played for the Bengals got shot up there by in Duarte because the Do-Rocks was getting into it with the essays in the San Gabriel Valley, the Duarte and I think the Nuevo Moravias. And this guy was in the NFL, regular black person, get shot up out there just because he was just in the area. So no, these are not made up incidents. You
right.
got people who were just visiting that's not even from California, regular civilians that was shot up in these areas.
And
So this is
yeah,
a major concern.
and I want to address somebody, Lucky 323. Lucky, you're right. We do have to take responsibility for the actions your community does. We do. And that's one good thing about the dialogue. See, I like what you said, Lucky, but in the same token, Lucky, and I'm not, it's a saying. Don't point to spike, look at the spike in my eye if you don't look at the spike in your own eye. And I agree with you, Lucky, on that. Yet in the same token, Lucky, this has to be said. I don't know any urban gang members that are black men that, for the sake of a skin complexion, attacked women and children from your culture.
Yep.
But we have our flaws and we have our faults, and it's on both of our perspective nationalities to correct what's going wrong in our nationalities.
Yep.
Clean your backyard first. Yeah, true that. But how can we clean our backyard if you're attacking civilians in certain pockets?
Yep. And I wanted to say this too. One guy called into my show. He was like, "Well, Red, you ain't talking about the vendors. You guys back in the 70s and 80s, you guys is just." I said, "Check this out. Even though that's wrong, but that's not a racially motivated crime because these people are doing it to themselves in the ghetto. So what makes you think they're not going to do it to somebody who's opposite if they're doing it to their own people? Now, if we were doing something to your people that we wasn't doing to our people, you would have a point. Now, on our side, this is our argument. If you guys were burning down Mexican ladies' homes in those communities, then we could say, okay, they're doing it to their people, so they're doing it to us. Maybe it's not racial, it's fucked up, it's messed up, but they're doing it to themselves. You guys are not burning down, firebombing Mexican ladies who have children in homes. You chose to do that to a black person. So that's a hate crime. There's no way you can get around that. It was racially motivated, it's a hate crime. If I rob you because I'm broke, you in my hood and you look like you got money, that has nothing to do with race. That means you got the money, I need it, give it up. These same people rob their own people. So it's
Right.
not like they're just targeting Mexicans because they're Mexicans. But that's their argument that, well, you guys are racist too because you robbed the vendors. And I'm just like, no, it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, but that is not racially motivated. So that's a false equivalence.
I agree with you, because when I pointed out for 30 years, for 3 decades, this isn't coming out of my mouth. This is coming out of Los Angeles Police Department statistical logs
Mm-hmm.
that X amount of vendors were robbed in the Silver Lake area, the West Lake area, by MacArthur Park, and certain other areas by people that look like them.
Right.
Taxed. And if they didn't want to pay taxes weekly, they were killed or assaulted. This went
Mm-hmm.
30 years. This is statistics from Los Angeles Police Department that you can Google and look it up. Now, when we had, hey, Queen Jean, how you doing, cousin? When we had dudes that were doing that stupidity, like, you had the girls that was putting Gorilla Glue on their hair on YouTube,
Yeah.
bucket challenges. Well, you had, unfortunately, In our environments, a lot of young brothers that were taking off on vendors, socking them and turning over the vending card. It was a trending thing on YouTube. I'm one of the first brothers to put up a video saying, hey, that ain't cool. I'm one of the first brothers that took pictures with the vendors because I have a little status in that world, the former world that I'm from, to show that, like, hey, man, if the OG doing it, man, leave them vendors alone, man. They hardworking people. Yet
Right.
when vendors get robbed, I do reinforce what you said. It's not because he could have been an Asian vendor. It could have been a black vendor. We got
Right.
a criminal element that's starving, that's in them lower income areas, and he needs some money. And this is what he do for a living because he's a career criminal. Then he gonna rob anybody. Heck, if he see it slipping, he gonna rob him. If he can cloak him in the back of the head and get away with it.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you. You know,
They keep bringing up these false equivalent, and I tell them all the time, even though that's not racially motivated, we still checked our people on that. The Hoovers DP'd one of their homies for smacking up the ice cream man on camera. You know, they DP'd him, put it on YouTube. So my thing is this: we're willing, even if it's not racially motivated, we stepped up to the table. There's been OGs from neighborhoods all over LA that's been telling the youngsters, look, bro, it's not even, there ain't no real money in that. It ain't doing nothing but bringing heat, bro. Leave the vendors alone, find the hustle, you know. So we've been checking our people. The question is, are they checking their people, the avenues, racially motivated crimes in Highland Park? Then you got the Azusa 13s, the Hawaiian Gardens, the 204th Street in the Harbor area, the Canoga Park, Alabama, the La Puente. There's a lot of hate crimes out there in La Puente. I spoke to a Mexican cat that called my shows like, Red, you're right. There is a lot of racially motivated hate crimes in this area. This was a Mexican cat. He admitted that. So you guys, it's like they made all these videos about the Ay Caramba and these vendor attacks, but they're silent about what their people are doing to our people, and that's why I can't respect that. Right. Like, you're gonna make a million videos about a vendor getting robbed, but you ain't said nothing about those racially motivated attacks that your people be doing to our people. So I don't want to hear nothing about no Ay Caramba video if you're not going to address the real issue at hand.
Right. Do me a favor, Red. Shout out your podcast real quick.
Yeah, you can check me out on Red Supreme TV1, man. You know, I talk about you know, LA politics, what goes on with our people, the black and brown issues, relationships, hip hop. I'll talk about it all on Red Supreme TV1, man. You can tap in with me 7 a.m., man, every morning.
There you go, Money Masters. And let me ask you this, now that you mentioned hip hop. So what do you think about the state of hip hop right now, man?
Man, it's not even about talent no more now. You know, like when you think about hip hop now, it's about disrespecting your enemies, disrespecting dead people. Now it's like, to get a record deal, you got to have enemies. You got to be talking about dead ops. And so now it's not even about the music anymore. It's all about the disrespect and the beefs that comes from the streets. So it's not even about talent no more, man. It's about drama and who can, it's just all about drama no more. I don't even listen to this music no more. I don't even listen to it, man. It's terrible because it's one thing, you know, I'm from the 90s. I'm an 80s baby, but I grew up in the 90s.
Right.
When business was taken care of, you didn't rap about who you know, put work in on. You just left it what it is. Nowadays, it's about you brag, you laugh at the dead person, you talk about the person that died, and it's just that right there is what's going to keep shit festering, because it's like, it's already bad enough that you took this person's life, but then you make a song and brag about it and disrespect the dead. That's terrible, man. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the most mind-boggling things I see, and shout out to the Chi-Town, man. Got mad love for Chicago, man. You know, but one of the most mind-boggling things I ever seen in my life, and as they say, I'm the old man, and I always say, I'll get old is not getting old. But a dude did a song called 51 Ops, and I'm looking at this video, and it blew my mind because he's saying, on this street you got it like that, on this street you got it like that. When you and I'm like, 48 snitches ain't the word. It's 51 snitches. You know? The first 48. Oh, baby, that's, you know, I mean, so, and it blew my mind, though, that you sitting up here speaking on 51 brothers that you dudes murdered. For what? If that's part of gangbanging, that's part of gangbanging, so be it. And that's what they signed up for when you gangbang. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's what we signed up for. Life in prison, life on installment plan, in a 6-foot hole, or shot up, paralyzed, maimed. That's the foolishness of gangbanging. And that's what I
Yeah.
call it, foolishness. Okay, I don't glorify it. You know, I wish I could rescind all that things I've done in my community. That's why I try to equate it with open lines of communication amongst us and the different things I do that I'm not going to mention that I do for the community, because that's not my agenda to say, yeah, look what I did, you know. But what I'm just saying is, you're right, in the state of hip hop, if you don't have an enemy, then it's crazy, man. You know,
Yes.
and Boyle Heights Collective, thank you, man. I appreciate what you just said, man. You know, Boyle Heights Collective. See, people like this, I'm gonna read what this dude Boyle Heights Collective said, man. Because by him saying what he's saying, first off, he got, what's that word they use? He got cojones, or he got huevos, he got balls, or whatever. Said, in much respect, he says they just killed the Pice in Highland Park over a case of beer. That firebombing of that woman in the projects was effing scandalous. These are the kind of people that we need to alleviate the madness, you know, and you know, so that's it, and all right, I see you, ma'am, guy. But back to what I was saying, you know, because I segued into that, but I just had to acknowledge dude and tell him respect, man. I tip my hat to you on saying that and having the balls to say it. But the state of hip hop is sad, man. But do you think that hip hop is going to come back, or do you think it's going to be a trend of bringing hip hop back to its origins and roots, being at the 50th anniversary as hip hop is coming up?
Man, you know what? I don't see it unless we take control over it. If we're not controlling the narrative, if we don't own these major corporations and companies that's distributing this music, we have no control over it. So the youngsters, unfortunately, they're gonna sign with the record labels that's gonna give them money to promote this madness. So if we don't have nothing to offer the youth, meaning like black owned everything, to where we can push the narrative that we want to push in our community, as long as people who don't look at like us own these companies, they're going to push the agenda that they want to push, and they're going to pay these kids to, unfortunately, promote this murder, black on black death, because they get paid. They put the insurance on them, so they get paid off of them regardless. So it don't matter. So unless we take control over it, I don't see it getting no better. It's like, if anything, it's getting worse, because now you don't even have to have talent as a rapper. If you got enemies that you can rap about, you know, that you did something to, the controversy alone sells, because that's what these record labels promote. So since the youngsters see, well, that's what getting me paid, so they thinking like, well, I got to diss people to get on, and the record companies are paying these youngsters that got all this street beef. So, like I say, I don't see it getting no better until we take control over what we created. That's how I see it.
Well, I think this though. I think if they have the cipher, which they usually have at this award, I think the cipher would be a strong indicator of the direction of hip hop. Because I personally think that people are tired of that drill music, as they call it. Is that what they call it, drill or
Yeah,
drill?
real music. It's like that's not even music.
So I think people are getting tired of that. And
Yeah.
as far as, like, okay, I think as far as hip hop, it's always been glorification and wordplay and delivery and hooks, but we got tired of listening to how many females dudes that slept with, how many cars dudes got. And so that played out. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna come circle, because now it seems like in hip hop, I'm just speaking from an outsider looking in, that it used to be that hip hop was influenced by the streets, even by gang culture to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's as if hip hop is influencing the streets, the opposite, total opposite. It's as if the entourages encompass dudes that are actually from the streets, yet they're going along with whatever that rap artist is saying. Because unfortunately, I lost my cousin, which, I found out his mother's my first cousin. Draco the Ruler is my second cousin. Mm-hmm. That's unfortunate, And so what happened with that situation, we're going to leave it alone, but I'm just saying it was more or less street and not hip hop. That was the unfortunate demise of my cousin. It was the street beef, allegedly. I don't know. I wasn't there, and I just knew to this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I just think that hip hop now is going to come full circle, and perhaps get back to its roots. Even when they had what people deemed corny hip hop, which was like, Run DMC was the truth. But really think about their lyrics. You talk too much. Hey, you over there? I know about your kind. That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it was good wordplay. LL Cool J is hard as hell. KRS-One. These I have to give homage to East Coast before I bring it full circle to the West Coast, who introduced gangster rap. We introduced gangster rap, but gangster rap had been around forever via James Brown, King Heroin, the Gil Scott Heroin, you know, the Last Poets, things like that. They'd always been speaking street. So it was gangster rap because that King Heroin is a gangster thing by James Brown.
Yeah.
They put it, boom, blew it up. It allowed the Snoop Dogs. It allowed the Jadakisses. It allowed the Jay-Z's. It allowed the Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, the Jizzies. Excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong.
Young Jeezy.
Yeah. It allowed them to, you know, and if I left anything out, I'm not circumventing anybody. I'm not ostracizing anybody's geographical area. I'm just speaking on it allowed for street stories to be told.
Right.
In that, you know, because Eazy-E and them, they did the damn thing. You know, I gotta say, you know, you see what they say, my DNA is Compton.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm just saying, I think hip hop is going to bring full circle and shy away from all the murders. And I would love if it came back to how many females you slept with. It for the females, because it's the millennium. How many dudes you knocked down? I don't care. But bring it back from anything from advocating, let me kill you and this crew against you. You know, condolences to the young dude who just was recently killed. I think his name was Half Pint, Half Ounce, something like that. If I'm getting your name wrong, somebody in the comments will tell me. But you know,
yeah, my brothers stay like right in Koreatown. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I grew up on Adams and Washington. You know, Koreatown ain't nothing like shit right down the street. You hit Olympic, Wilshire, that's Koreatown.
Right. Agree with you.
So and over that area, shit, there's a lot of hate crimes in that area over there alone, man. I know. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I could speak on. But yeah, man, as far as like the rap, the rap, man, it's like the young guys now, they're not rapping to get out of the hood. They're rapping to be more hood. Like, for instance, like you back in the 90s, you already had street credibility before you got in the game. And then you kind of spoke on that. Now it's like they're rapping just to get street credibility and notoriety. So you rapping just to have ops and enemies now. We're not rapping to create a better life or more opportunities. We rapping just to talk about how many enemies we got and who we gonna kill and who we gonna ride on. So that right there is demonic in itself. This is why you're seeing all these murders happening, because now it's no longer about the music. It's all about how many enemies you got. It's all about negativity. It ain't even about the music no more, man. And like you said, I can see it coming back to that, but as the people, we got to take a stand and demand what we want to hear instead of just taking what they give us. You know what I mean?
True. And condolences to the guy Half Ounce. That's his name, Half Ounce family. Condolences to your family and everyone else that's associated with you and have love for you. And speaking on that, you know, I think, you know, on the BET Awards, they should have a tribute to Coolio, because Coolio brought feel-good music. He brought his paradise, okay, yeah, whatever, but, you know, fantastic voice. He brought feel-good music, and Coolio, unfortunately, just passed recently, man. He's my homeboy out of my neighborhood, you know, out of my section, rather, you know, and I think they should do a tribute to him to show generation now that you may not be familiar with Coolio, but look at his wordplay. Look at the feel-good music. Look at how he brought this. And he was every bit of an affiliate in his former lifestyle. That's not going to be taken.
But I want to say this, they didn't do a tribute. I didn't watch the BET Awards, but they wrong if they didn't do a tribute to Coolio on the BET Awards. They wrong if they didn't do that.
It is what it is, you know. So this is shout out to Coolio family. Condolences, Park love, you know, because we Park boys over in our section. That's what we call ourselves, you know. And Coolio, he reached back and pulled some of the young homies up as writers, you know, ghost writers at it. But, you know, hey, here, take this check. You know, he did what he had to do. Certain homeboys came on from them concrete plantations. He like, I don't know what you're going to do, but take this and leave me alone, you know. And I know these are factual things he's done in our community, you know. And he like, hey, he did what any street dude does. And this is what I don't get about the rappers. Anybody in the streets is hustling. His main objective is to move out of the negative community and raise his children somewhere positive.
Right.
Okay. So when dudes be saying, oh, dude, when Hollywood, he changed. No, it's like when I say it's the hub and the dub with neighborhood love. My mother, when I say the hub, my father's from Compton. He led my high school to 3 CIF championships, and he coaches at the high school. So that's the hub. That's Compton love from my father. When I say the dub, My mother went to watch Jordan and graduated. She was captain of the tennis team. You know, she pulled herself up and became a community activist. So that's the hub and the dub. The neighborhood love is the blueprint, the architectural
Mhm.
design Nipsey put down. I'm gonna always have neighborhood love because he set a blueprint for every brother in an urban area across the United States of America that you can do this. We're not gonna talk about his demise. We're not gonna talk about this, that, another. We're gonna talk about what he did was the most positive thing that anybody of generation now has done that I've seen in 3 decades that I've been fortunate enough to witness what is generation now in the 80s, the 90s, the millennium. Because I was a part of generation now for 2 of those decades and now in this decade. So when I say neighborhood love, Nip got all the love in the world from what he did, and we need to take that architectural design, that blueprint, and initiate it from state to state.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Because you see right now it's like you getting pushed out of your neighborhood. He was trying to say like, hey man, we own this and we employ our own people, then we can keep the money circulating in our community. And you know, I think if we understood this 20, 30 years ago, Los Angeles would be in better shape as far as like the Black community when it comes to ownership and, you know, just having an understanding of what's going to happen within the next 20 years. Because uh, if you think about the 90s, I don't think most people never saw 20 years ahead what will happen now, right? It's
True.
like we were just living in a moment, not realizing what was going on right in front of our faces. You know what I mean? And uh, just to see what's going on now is sad, man, because some of us did have money. We just didn't have the knowledge of what to do with it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
this is why other people came in and took advantage of what we didn't take advantage of in our own communities, whether you was getting money in the streets, whether you was making legal money. We didn't invest in our own communities. And we're seeing the downside of that right now. People who are not from our communities are coming getting filthy rich off of, we've been living here for 50 generations. They come here in 5 years and they rich. Now, of course, they get loans from the government that we don't get. But at the same time, I think when you think about like, if we a gang, right? I'm gonna say this. Let's just say we a gang. We got this whole neighborhood. You got 20 different guys getting money. How come nobody ain't came together to put some type of business here that could be, that this business can be here and it'll actually keep everything going. We can hire our homies, give people jobs, and keep legal money in the community to where we can take that money and buy more property. But we didn't. I guess we wasn't educated to really think on that level back then.
Not only that, but it was a matter of we took it for granted because I was a part of that 80s where was such abundance of money at the expense of the demise of our culture, to be truthful.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
We didn't create the Iran Contra affair. We didn't invent an AK-47. We didn't invent an Uzi. That's not making excuses. But when we spoke on earlier how a person is robbing a vendor, he's up the criminal element. So when you have the
Mhm.
criminal, it was a dual force. And even somebody in the comments said, when the record label started saying trap rap, right? They were speaking on glorification of glorifying drugs because you're trapping that money, right? So we took it for granted and we didn't learn the basics of economics. We took it for granted because I can make $1,000 a day just taking turns with 50 other dudes. But we lost respect for the generation above us that unfortunately started utilizing that drug and things of that nature. That's why I say, on urban realness, man, I'm just trying to bring the best of the urban community to the forefront. And you part of that best of the urban community to me, Now I'm trying to make it now where we not just skin folks, we kin folks, because my generation fumbled. I'm the first to admit it because we got so fascinated with the vehicles, the jewelry, the clothing, things that we didn't have coming up. And now your generation, via your podcast and similar like-minded podcasters, you trying to bring it full circle back to how it was supposed to be. Because I've watched a few of your shows. You preach economics and your indirect way. You're like, come on, man, we have to do better. In order to do better, we have to pull each other up, man.
Yep.
And and I agree with you, man, on what you just said, man. You know, we have to learn economics. That's basically what you said in a nutshell.
Yeah. We have to, because think about it. Like there's no way that we should be going to spend money with people who don't look like us in our neighborhoods. They don't have our best interests in mind. They make money and send it back to their countries and build their communities. they just rent spaces in our communities to make money, but they don't live there. But they're making all this money off of our community, but we're poor and we still live in these communities. But they come here and siphon out all the money. And,
Right.
you know, that right there has to, it bothers me to know that, because it's like, whoa, you come here, rent a space. You don't live here. You just rent a space here. You make money. We've been living in this neighborhood for 30, 50, 60 years. And most people that live here are poor. And these foreigners come here and take full advantage of this opportunity and make money off of our people. And it's like, wow, when do we say enough is enough?
True. That's true. But you know, man, I'm gonna say it like this, man, and I'm gonna keep saying it. And yeah, I'm the old man, so I'm repetitive on what I say. It's podcasts like yours that are bringing awareness to a variety of issues in our community. It's podcasts like yours that I applaud. It's podcasts like yours that are the future as a stepping stone to bigger and better things. Tubi shows, Roku shows, platforms where we can speak, panels where we can speak that are sponsored by individuals. And it's not necessarily a monetary thing, even though we're in a capitalist country, it's to giving back to the community. And see, that's how I want to bring this to an end. I want to tip my hat to you. I want to say you it's very, very appreciated that you stepped on this platform. And you know, I'm gonna bring it to a close. But before I bring it to a close, I want you to shout out to any Johnny Come Latelys, your podcast.
Oh yeah, you can check me out on Red Supreme TV1. You know, I go live like every morning, whether it's like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., you know, every morning, man. I've been doing this for the last couple of years, trying to get the message out there. You know what I mean? You know, I come from the streets, you know what I mean? But I elevated to another level to where, you know, everything I do now is legit. You know, if I can do it, you guys can do it too, man. I got felonies, caught cases, couldn't work certain jobs, but I found a lane, you know, through podcasting and just making a, you know, you can make money off social media. I tell a lot of guys, man, you know, especially like if you got like a story to tell and, you know, you got some, you know, you can entertain the crowd, there's money to be made, man, with a platform, as long as you have something real to say and you can touch the people, man. So you can definitely connect with me on Red Supreme TV1. And like I said, OG, I want to bring you on my show this week as well. You know,
No
bring
problem.
you up and we can chop it up and, you know, then, you know what I mean? And yeah, do the damn thing.
That's what I'm talking about, man. All of us pull each other up, man. I'm more than willing to come anytime you say the time, place, and you know, it's done. And you know, Black Warrior Spirit, you know, we appreciate you, both of us, man. Thank you for shouting us out too. And Queen Jean, the G Lou show, Red Supreme TV1. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Red Supreme TV1. You know, Queen Jean, that's my cousin, man. She got a bomb show too, man. You know,
Okay. Check
down
her
in
out.
yeah, down in the Carolina. She had a radio show, you know. So and that's that, you know. Somebody say, yo, Bright Dog American Cholo calling you out. He can't call me out, brother. No, no one can call me out. A person calls you out when when they could play a psychological game with you. Like I said, I'll run intellectual circles, historical circles, and psychological circles around somebody who show I will never go on. So I don't bow down to the juvenile rhetoric. The hell with him. He's a racist. I don't have nothing to say to him. There's nothing apologetic that he could say to me or to my culture. My name is not Steven. It's Bry-dee. All right. On
I
that
want to
note,
ask you this.
you
I
know,
want to ask you this before you go, OG.
yeah,
What about like we said, we got a lot of Stevens. What
yeah,
about these brothers that are still doing shows with him and talking about doing this black and brown tour with him? I listen. I didn't know he said all the things he said. So at first I said I don't know if he's racist or not. But when I seen he had a problem with the reparations thing and then
right,
the American the national anthem. I'm thinking like, and then you got a guy on your show talking about, I'm going to boycott the NFL for a week when they play the black national anthem. I'm like, you do realize the NFL is 75 to 80% black.
right.
So you wouldn't even have an NFL if it wasn't for black athletes.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna,
it's like, does your hatred run that deep to where you're blinded by the fact that there would be no NFL if it wasn't for black athletes?
okay.
Like, come on. And how American Cholo is going to say he's not racist is like, it's like, okay, the reparation thing, the coon thing, then the national, it's, you're convicted, bro. You got more than 3 strikes.
Right. Uh, Well, with the Black and Brown tour, what I come to find out, that's basically Northern California. They have, as you know, they have a different relationship with brothers there because they recognize they've been oppressed via the foreign worker Cesar Chavez. Shout out to his movement, his family, and everything stood for. So I get the Black and Brown thing. My issue with the Black and Brown thing was if you have people that are from Southern California that are on that platform, then I'm do everything in my power to destroy that platform. In my limited power, I'm going to galvanize the troops and like, nah, ain't no Black and Brown like that, bruh. But to find out, that, okay, shout out to the dude Gold Toes, man, in the sense of, and the brother, I think his name is Jay Diggs or something of that nature, of showing Black and Brown unity, but that's a Northern California unity.
That's in Northern,
that we've always rocked with one another. They didn't have to deal with the racism that we dealt with down here. So I get that. But when I heard that Gil Name was a part of it, I went on one. No, ain't no Black. Nah, hell no. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going for that. So that's just basically what that is, man. So that's that, but I just feel like if you have anybody that has racist rap lyrics that are from Southern California, that community, if you have anyone that called us everything from ghetto coons, I'm going to boycott the national anthem to this, that, another, nah. It's platforms like yours and mine that are enlightening the rest of the nation that and put pressure on those rappers that are Black rappers if they should align themselves with that.
Right.
Should be involved in it. But from my understanding, they are no longer involved in it. So kudos to them up north.
Yeah, because like we say, shout out to Gold Toes.
You go still investigate it.
Yeah, because like you say, Gold Toes is like they really been preaching Black and Brown unity, and they've really been doing it. So I have no problem with the brothers up north that align with because they really about that. It's Gil and his rhetoric and the people he have on his show is like that right there is like, how you gonna say you want to preach Black and Brown unity, but you got a problem with the Black national anthem? You got a problem with us receiving reparations from the American government? It's like we got to stand for something. We can't just let this get swept underneath the rug. What he's doing now is damage control, like trying to make it seem like he never said none of it. He's not with it.
They call it,
it's all Sonny. He made it seem like it was just Sonny who said all this stuff.
Yeah, no. That's like, okay, man. So many brothers unfortunately got locked up because they were in the car with another dude who did something. You had free will to jump out that car. You had
yeah.
So miss me. You know what I'm saying? You had free will to do that. So if me and you sat down here and you said something that I found disparagingly against their culture, or if you said something that I found that was racist, if I don't sit up and say, hey, hold up, homie, I don't subscribe to that.
Right.
If I get it over my head like, oh, it just went by me as intelligent as I am, I was just complicit to that.
I know. And look, and another thing, OG, the fact that Sonny felt comfortable saying that on his platform, that shows that he agreed with it. Because Sonny would have never said that openly if he know Gil didn't agree with it.
Bottom line. That's the bottom line, man. So man, I can keep this up all night with you, man. You a mess, man. Because
I'm gonna bring you on. Hey, OG, hey man, I got your line, man. We're gonna stay in contact, and then I'm gonna bring you on my show this week. And we can, we'll touch on stuff that we didn't touch on this one, man. No problem.
Love to you too. I just shout out to one of the cats, and he gave a shout out to both of us, man. We got love for you too, Dirt M and Black Warrior Spirit. Yeah, it's real talk, man. We understand the plight of what happened in the Northern California Hispanic brothers and Brown brothers up there. Understand the oppression that we went through, and it's the same thing with them. That's why I gave a shout out to Cesar Chavez, the United Foreign Workers. Unionized and said enough is enough. It's the same thing that our Malcolm X's, Martin Luther King's, Marcus Garvey's, and so on. I keep going on did for us. So appreciate y'all up there, man. And it's not that I don't appreciate the Mexican culture in Southern California. It's just that I have a distaste for certain hot pockets of that, not culture itself, but of people that complexion who have something against people of my complexion for no reason at all. That's what that is. Don't have nothing against myself, and I'm speaking for Red too. We don't have nothing against Mexicans. So don't try to take this and twist it like, oh man, it was a war campaign against that. Actually, for the Serranos that are doing your thing, that's just doing your thing and don't subscribe to that, it's on you to pull them other dudes' code up to say, hey man, this is not the image we want to project any longer. It's always room for change. But if you allow those pockets to be a continuum, then you really ain't changed.
Right.
In that on them. And with that, like I said, he say this doctor don't like the WSC. Once again, this is how they take things. It's you, dude, as a human being. I just have something against the ideology.
Right, right. And like we say, you know, we're not, it's all this stuff that happened, we're not promoting, we're not telling our people to hate your people. We're just telling them, hey, this is what happens, unfortunately, in certain areas. So we ain't said nothing hateful about the Mexican culture. We just called out certain gangs in the Southern California area that has this anti-black, this hate, this anti-black hate in their communities. We're just pointing out what they're doing to us. We're not firebombing Mexican people homes. We're not telling our people to attack Mexican civilians or do harm to your people. So how are we spreading hate? We're just spreading awareness. Big difference.
Major difference. Yeah.
I
So
appreciate you having me on, my brother. You know.
yeah, of course, man. So on that note, man, this OG Bry-dee, host of Urban Realness. It was an honor to have a esteemed guest, podcast Red TV. And y'all know what I say. It's the hub and the double neighborhood love. Two of them, baby, all the time. Compton, California. On that note, peace out. One love, home team.
All right, one love. All
All
right.
right.